commanders. This is Colonel Sulla, who was the brother of Colonel Ahmed, who replaced him for a time. And here's Ortega having a lot of fun trying to get them to settle on, you'd show them a map of a door and they would say, well, let's go over here, let's go over here, let's go, no, we're going to go here. So there was a lot of long hours at that. But we would round up a lot of people, a lot of bad guys. We found the 4 guys who were part of the sniper ring who shot Tony Carrasco, but they kept letting them go. You would put them in jail and they would let them go because they didn't want to keep them in jail because they had a lot of power inside the Sunni government. So we spent an inordinate amount of time just keeping those 4 guys who had been involved in the shooting of Carrasco in jail so that they couldn't attack us because they were one of the more effective cells. But for every 4 Jotter brothers that we kept in jail, 30 people would go through the revolving door. So it was a constant battle to round these guys up and get them off the street. And the challenge was, as I said, all the dumb insurgents died a long time ago, and all we're left with are really, really smart insurgents. And really smart insurgents know that when the U.S. Army surrounds your town and 4 police battalions come to your town, you don't run around with a gun. You do run because they know who you are, and you don't want to be caught and have to spend a couple cold nights in jail and have to pay to get out, but you don't shoot back. And so our constant challenge was trying to catch them in the act so that we could shoot them, because if you put them in jail, they would just get back out. So it consumed a huge amount of time for us, huge amount of time. But that was really not the main thrust of what we were trying to do. The approach that we decided on, the Alduris controlled the Adour district. They're called Alduris because they're from Adour, and they control the Adour district, but they are not the majority. There are a lot of tribes that live outside the city who don't have any power at all, who outnumber them. So in an electoral government, theoretically, if there are elections in the town, they should have a larger voice in the town. But because these guys had always controlled the town, and outside the town there were no resources because these guys controlled the resources, these guys had no power. So we decided, you know what, we're going to get their economy going, we're going to get them organized to vote as a bloc, and we're going to put the Alduris out on their butt and put these guys in charge. So this is Brigadier General retired Abdullah Jabara, and the Minister of Electricity for the province, pouring over a map of Adour, and it was almost as hard to get them to build electric wires for these guys as it was to get the police to fight the New Ba'ath Party, because these guys, they were part of the problem. They sympathized with the New Ba'ath Party. At least they wanted them around in case things got bad after we left. And so getting them to do things for people outside of the province or outside of that town where the Alduris were was very difficult. So we constantly had to stay on them. Same time we brought in, we kind of tried to make the State Department work for us for a change. And we got him out there to talk to this guy, and I'll show you a picture of him in a second, Sheikh Sabah. And we tried to get the cameras out to kind of build Sheikh Sabah's profile, to try to build political power for these guys. So when the district elections came, they would be able to stand on their own. I won't pour over this, but just this kind of illustrates how hard it is to get stuff done in Iraq. The Sheikh Sabah al-Shimri he was probably the biggest sheikh in our area. He was the first Sons of Iraq chief, but it kind of got wrested away from him by the Al-Jabaris when they figured out you could make money at it, and they kind of pushed him out, and he kind of got exiled out here to the desert to where his tribal seat is. They had not had electricity since 2004 because their line came from over the Hammerin Mountains here, and it had been blown up because these guys didn't want to share electricity with these guys. So we had to get Sheikh Sabah to make a deal with these guys so that they wouldn't blow up their electric lines, and then we tried to build a line. General Abdullah would only build us a line if we built him a line that went from from Al Alam out here and just happened to go by his house. And by the way, they had already gotten the money for it, so the money we spent he would put in his pocket, and then he would use the Iraqi money to actually build the line. But he had the control of the levers of power. So for us to do what we needed to do, we had to play the game with the guys. So very challenging. And you know, the State Department, which was trying to empower the Iraqi government, fought us tooth and nail. And you know, you just couldn't explain to them that, well, this particular Iraqi government we don't really want to work with because they're all related to Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri. But they, you know, so it was a big challenge. It was a big challenge getting it all to work together. So we ate a lot of goat. And if you've ever eaten goat with your hands from dirty plates, you know how long a days those were. This is Sheikh Sabah's diwan, which is kind of like his living room. This is Sheikh Sabah. This is me. I'm kind of green from eating goat. And this is Mike Samander. He is another great American. He's a Palestinian American. He came out at the beginning of the war, and he had been interpreting for. He's been in Iraq more than most soldiers. Just a great American, and really, really, just he was as helpful as any soldier we had over there. This is us talking to Sheikh Sabah and sheikhs. Basically, what we were trying to do is we were trying to build his profile, bring all the sheikhs from the desert together, so that when the next election happened, they could overwhelm the Al-Duris with numbers, and then we would get their electric fixed. So they would have farms from which they could sell produce, so they would also have money, because in Iraq you have to have the love of the people plus the money to pay all of the people who are in charge of the elections, so that you don't get the election stolen from you by people with more money. So it very convoluted, a lot of goat.